A bright green 1995 coupe sits at the starting line. It defined an entire generation of car enthusiasts and dominated the street racing scene. But go to a dealership today, and you will find that exact same legendary nameplate stamped onto a sluggish, front-wheel drive crossover SUV. To understand this tragedy, we have to rewind. Mitsubishi once built a turbocharged, all-wheel drive monster that could beat V8 muscle cars on an incredibly tight budget. The massive success of this affordable tuner icon actually triggered a chain reaction that destroyed their performance heritage forever. Let us dive in. In the late 1980s, Japanese automakers faced a massive problem. The United States government placed strict voluntary restrictions on how many cars they could import. Mitsubishi needed a way around this roadblock. Their solution was a joint venture with Chrysler. They called it Diamond Star Motors and built a massive factory in Normal, Illinois. The very first car to roll off that assembly line was a two-door, four-cylinder coupe designed specifically for the American buyer. But underneath the sheet metal, it packed serious Japanese engineering. You could buy it as a Plymouth Laser, an Eagle Talon, or the Mitsubishi Eclipse. They were all the exact same machine. The real magic lived under the hood of the premium GST and GSX trims. Mitsubishi dropped in a mechanical masterpiece. It was a 2-liter cast-iron block known as the 4G63 turbocharged engine. Think of this engine block like a bank vault. While other manufacturers were experimenting with lightweight aluminum blocks that could warp or crack under heavy boost, Mitsubishi stuck with a heavy, dense iron foundation. The internal components were just as robust. The factory crankshaft and connecting rods were incredibly strong, allowing tuners to push massive amounts of boost without opening the bottom end of the engine. It was practically over-engineered for its factory power output, utilizing a high-flowing aluminum cylinder head to maximize air delivery. They paired this bulletproof power plant with an advanced all-wheel drive system pulled straight from their global rally cars, specifically the Galant VR4. This meant you had a viscous coupling center differential, actively managing traction between the front and rear wheels. When the primary drive wheels began to slip, the specialized silicone fluid inside the coupling would heat up and stiffen, instantly transferring torque to the secondary axle. This active mechanical management ensured every ounce of turbo spool translated directly into forward momentum regardless of the surface conditions. This combination completely broke the performance car market. For a fraction of the cost of a high-end European sports car, you could buy a vehicle that generated immense grip and unbelievable power. The data shows this platform was a drag strip weapon right out of the box. But enthusiasts quickly realized something even better. The aftermarket potential was virtually limitless. With just a cheap manual boost controller, a free-flowing exhaust system, and an upgraded fuel pump, you could push this car to run sub-12-second quarter miles. You were taking a vehicle that cost under $20,000, brand new and humiliating $60,000 sports cars. Broke teenagers were suddenly gapping expensive V8 muscle cars at stoplights across the country. The all-wheel drive system allowed for brutal, high engine speed launches that left rear-wheel drive competitors spinning their tires in a cloud of expensive smoke. The depreciation curve on these models was steep at first. That made them the ultimate attainable dream car for a brand new generation of budget tuners. They were buying up used inventory and turning them into absolute rockets. People figured out that the iron block engine could handle massive amounts of pressure without breaking a sweat. You did not need to rebuild the engine internals to make double the factory horsepower. You just needed to force more air and fuel into the cylinders. But there was one massive problem hiding behind all the tire smoke. The heavy reliance on that American factory meant high production costs for the brand. Worse, it created a growing disconnect from Mitsubishi's global rally heritage. While the rest of the world got the legendary Lancer Evolution sedan, the United States market was completely isolated with its own specific heavy coupe. The company was splitting its engineering focus across two entirely different performance cars for different continents. This decision set a very dangerous precedent for the brand's financial future. They were building a cult following, but fracturing their global identity. While that first generation proved the concept on the drag strip, the 1995 redesign changed the entire landscape. Mitsubishi gave the second generation a much sleeker, rounded body and a very aggressive, wide stance that looked like it was moving fast even while parked. They bumped that legendary turbocharged iron block up to 210 horsepower right from the factory floor, utilizing a smaller T25 turbocharger that spooled up incredibly fast for instant low-end torque. It was a stunning piece of machinery that immediately captured the full attention of the rapidly booming underground import tuning scene. The culture shifted rapidly from traditional domestic muscle to high-tech Japanese imports. Magazines like Super Street, Sport Compact Car, and Import Tuner began featuring heavily modified versions on their covers every single month. These publications expanded from thin 60-page issues to massive 200-page Bibles of the tuning lifestyle. Enthusiasts would study these pages to learn about front-mount intercoolers, standalone engine management systems, and aggressive suspension setups. The car dominated major event series like Battle of the Imports and Hot Import Nights, proving that four-cylinder platforms could be legitimate race cars. Then a massive street racing film hit theaters in the summer of 2001. You know the exact movie. A bright neon green 1995 coupe rolled onto the silver screen, driven by the late Paul Walker, and the automotive world shifted overnight. That specific car featured a custom body kit, a massive rear wing, and underglow lighting that defined the era. Demand for the second generation skyrocketed. It permanently cemented the car as the ultimate attainable dream machine. Every single teenager with a license wanted one in their driveway because it proved you did not need a $250,000 exotic to be the absolute fastest guy on your local street. The aftermarket exploded with clear taillights, massive exhaust tips, and bolt-on turbo kits designed specifically for this exact chassis. But this massive, unprecedented spike in mainstream popularity created a very strange market dynamic for the manufacturer. This specific coupe was heavily skewed toward the United States market. This created a completely isolated enthusiast base. While the rest of the tuning world was focusing on lightweight, rear-wheel drive Japanese domestic market vehicles like the Nissan Silvia or the Mazda RX-7, American buyers were completely obsessed with this heavy, all-wheel drive powerhouse built in Illinois. This geographic divide would eventually force Mitsubishi to make a very difficult choice. The global automotive world was falling deeply in love with the rally-bred Lancer Evolution, but the American market remained completely obsessed with a heavy, luxury sports coupe built right in Illinois. This massive divide finally reached a breaking point. The company was pouring millions of dollars into two completely different platforms. They were trying to satisfy two separate groups of buyers at the exact same time. It was a business model that simply could not last forever. Chrysler officially ended their long-standing joint venture with Mitsubishi. This massive corporate shift left the Japanese automaker entirely alone. They were forced to rethink their most popular American car from the ground up for the year 2000. They had to start completely over, choosing to build the new model on a larger, heavier platform shared with the Chrysler Sebring and Dodge Stratus sedans. The results would be a total disaster for the street racing community. Mitsubishi made a fundamental engineering pivot that completely alienated their loyal fan base. They ditched the legendary turbocharged four-cylinder engine that had built their entire reputation. They threw out the advanced all-wheel drive system that gave the car its legendary launch capabilities. Instead, the third generation arrived with a naturally aspirated 3-liter V6 engine pushing power exclusively to the front wheels. They traded raw, visceral acceleration for smooth, predictable highway cruising. The data shows this new setup made 210 horsepower. That was roughly the same output as the outgoing model. But performance is not just about peak horsepower numbers. It is about how that power gets delivered to the pavement. Without all-wheel drive, that power just spun the front tires at the starting line. You were no longer launching past muscle cars. You were just making a lot of noise while sitting completely still. More importantly, you could not tune it. The iron block that made the previous generation a drag strip terror was gone. You could not just bolt on a larger turbocharger and double your horsepower in a weekend. The suspension was also softened significantly to prioritize highway cruising comfort over cornering grip. They took a sniper rifle and replaced it with a butter knife. The car was no longer a budget supercar killer. It was just a comfortable commuter car wearing a famous nameplate. The market competition was absolutely ruthless during this era. While the Eclipse grew softer and heavier, rivals were introducing dedicated sports cars. Nissan unleashed the 350Z with a powerful rear-wheel drive chassis. Honda offered the high-revving S2000, and Subaru brought the turbocharged all-wheel drive WRX to American shores. Buyers who wanted authentic performance completely abandoned the Eclipse. To make matters worse, Mitsubishi finally brought the Lancer Evolution to the United States in 2003. If you wanted a performance-oriented, turbocharged, all-wheel drive vehicle, you bought the Evolution. The Eclipse was left without a real purpose in the lineup. Dealerships struggled to move inventory as the target demographic realized the badge no longer represented true performance. Did you ever own a third or fourth generation model? Let us know your experience down in the comments below. And if you are enjoying this breakdown of automotive history, hit that subscribe button right now. Mitsubishi tried to fix their mistake in 2006. The fourth generation received styling heavily inspired by the beloved second generation. They even dropped in a larger V6 making 263 horsepower. But it was still a heavy, front-wheel drive platform. The magic was completely gone. Sales numbers plummeted year after year. By its final year of production in 2011, Mitsubishi only sold 1,173 units. The once mighty street racing icon quietly faded away, ending production with a whimper instead of a bang. For years, the nameplate sat dormant. The tuner community kept the legacy alive, rebuilding old models in their garages and preserving the history of that legendary iron block engine. Rumors constantly swirled about a potential fifth-generation revival. Enthusiasts hoped Mitsubishi would bring back a lightweight, all-wheel drive coupe to compete with the modern wave of affordable sports cars. They wanted a return to the roots of the Diamond Star Motors era. Then, in 2017, Mitsubishi finally made the announcement. The Eclipse was coming back. But the excitement evaporated instantly when the cover was pulled back. It was not a low-slung sports coupe. It was the Eclipse Cross, a compact crossover SUV. They took a name synonymous with underground street racing, turbochargers, and accessible performance and slapped it onto a family hauler. It was a purely marketing-driven decision designed to capitalize on the nostalgia of the 1990s tuner era. But it completely ignored the actual mechanical identity that made the original car so special. You do not honor a drag strip legend by turning it into a grocery getter with increased ground clearance. This move signaled that the brand was officially done with their performance heritage, choosing mainstream crossover sales over enthusiast loyalty. The final corporate decision to slap their legendary badge onto a sluggish crossover proves that chasing mainstream market trends will erase an authentic automotive performance legacy. Let me know down in the video comments section below exactly which generation you would choose to build for the local drag strip. Never miss out on our next comprehensive automotive deep dive video. Please click on that subscribe button right now before you leave the channel today. And if you want to know the JDM icons you'll never afford again, watch this video next.